Remember, when buying a house, this is not Amazon. There's no 30-day refund policy. If it doesn't fit or you change your mind, well, you just messed up big time. That said, here are 6 home buying mistakes you need to avoid. Home buying mistake number 1, not having a long-term plan. If you can't reasonably expect to hold on to a house, be it as a primary residence or a rental for minimum 5 years, don't buy a house. And one reason is that most mortgages are front-loaded, which means that the majority of the interest is paid during the first few years of the loan. For example, on a $1 million house, 30 years fixed, 5.5% interest, 20% down, including property taxes. After a year of making payments totaling about $68,000, only about $11,000 or about 16% of that actually goes to reducing the principal balance on the loan. So yes, that first year that you buy a house, you're pretty much throwing your money away in interest. Now, every year that goes by, you contribute less towards interest and more towards actually reducing the principal balance on the loan. So yes, the longer you hold, the more you get. Now, if like property values go up by like 1,000% the first year, well, look, amazing, but surprisingly, yes, prices can also go down, and rest assured, eventually they will. And the best hedge against a downturn is time. That's why my recommendation is minimum 5 years, ideally 10 years, and well, super ideally until you die. Home buying mistake number 2, choosing mansion over location. And for people moving to Los Angeles, here's a reality that must be accepted. Los Angeles is where millionaires come to live like the middle class. So yes, you're gonna be on Zillow and you're gonna be very disappointed by what $2 million can get you. And then you're gonna be very tempted to expand your search from Santa Monica to Riverside. But before you do that, just consider that 1, no one will visit you. 2, Los Angeles is amazing, but extremely subject to location. Get the location wrong and you might end up buying a house in Los Angeles and feel like you live in Phoenix. I mean, there's a reason why people here pay $1 million for like a shoebox when they could get a mansion just like 50 miles away. And that's because in LA, 20 miles is pretty much another state. 50 miles, that's another country. So don't worry about what your out-of-state friends will think of your 2-bedroom house. By LA standards, we know you're a baller. And look, there's nothing wrong with moving to Riverside as long as you know you're moving to Riverside. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in Los Angeles. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And for a consultation, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like or subscribe. But home buying mistake number 3, not shopping for a mortgage. Too often I see buyers go with the first lender that pre-approves them or with the lender their realtor recommended. Here's the thing, not all lenders offer the same terms and fees. And 2, yes, terms and fees are negotiable. I mean, I've seen clients save as much as 1% by shopping around. On a $1.5 million house, 20% down, that's almost $800 saved every month. And I typically recommend getting a minimum of 3 quotes, but shopping for a mortgage can be a whole thing in itself. So for that, check out my other video on how to shop for the best mortgage, which I'll link at the end of, well, this video. Home buying mistake number 4, no reserves. If all the money you got is going towards down payment and closing costs, don't buy a house. After the transaction closes, you want to have financial reserves. 1, just in case, well, life happens, and 2, maintenance and repairs. And yes, you're gonna get an inspection, and that inspector is gonna tell you everything looks fine, and your realtor is gonna tell you everything looks fine, but rest assured, stuff will happen. Repairs and maintenance are a guaranteed cost of home ownership that needs to be accounted for. Now, some say that you should set aside about 1% of the property's value for annual maintenance and repairs, but ultimately it kind of really just depends on the conditions of the property and other factors. But the point is, do account for maintenance and repairs, and well, also account for life too. Also, don't forget the cost of moving and furnishing a place. And just as a reminder, 1 chair at West Elm, $330 for 1 chair. Home buying mistake number 5, not doing a thorough investigation. Now there's way too much to cover here, but here are some quick tips. 1, get a general home inspection, a sewer line inspection, and a termite inspection, which should cost you somewhere around $1,000 for all 3. And then, based on these inspections, determine if a specialist should be brought in. Now, some specialty inspections to consider are roof, HVAC, and foundation, which can represent some of the more expensive components of a house. Now, on the administrative side of the investigation, one incredibly important thing to look at that no one is kind of really talking about is title. And do not buy a house without a title insurance policy, which can help prevent like some random dude from selling you a house that's not even his. Now, as part of that policy, typically paid by the seller, the title company will issue what they call a preliminary title report, in which they're pretty much saying, yes, I will insure the title on this property, but subject to these exceptions. And these exceptions are something that you definitely want to review, as they can restrict your ownership in the property. For example, the exceptions might show that the house is part of a homeowners association or an HOA, to which you're like, well, dude, I'm buying a regular single family house. I already know this doesn't belong to an HOA, to which I say, wrong. There are a bunch of pockets in Los Angeles with regular seeming houses not listed as HOAs that actually do belong to an HOA. For example, this includes many pockets in Brentwood, Pacific Palisades, Westchester, and well, a bunch of other ones. Now, this is just one example of a multitude of things that could show up in the title report, and honestly, under worst case scenarios, this would be a best case scenario, because there's nothing really bad with having an HOA unless you didn't know there was an HOA. Now, another tip on the investigation part that probably like 99% of agents and buyers do not do and can be incredibly revealing is knock on the neighbors' doors, like the next door neighbors. Now, this is something I do for my clients, and my experience has been, 1, people are incredibly nosy and they will tell you everything the seller didn't. Also, if there's any property line disputes, you can rest assured they will let you know. Or maybe you just find out your neighbor sucks and you don't want to live next to this person for the rest of your life. But anyway, again, there's way too much to cover on the investigation side, which naturally leads me to home buying mistake number 6, not hiring a good buyer's agent. Now, one of the biggest values of a buyer's agent is, well, not necessarily to help you identify a property, which you can pretty much do on Zillow. One of the biggest values is to safely guide you through the administrative and investigative process of buying a house. And a good real estate agent is more like a consultant than a salesperson, someone who's gonna help you identify red flags and even sometimes dissuade you from buying a house when it's not in your interest. And as someone who's been an agent for almost 10 years, I can confidently say, don't necessarily discard someone just because they're a new agent. At the end of the day, a new agent who works for a good company, has life experience, and is resourceful can do a phenomenal job. But the point is, don't just base your decision on years in the business, something agents love to flaunt around, but many times can be, well, just irrelevant. And some good qualities to look for are 1, honesty. You want someone who's willing to put your interest ahead of their commission. 2, respectful, and not only towards you, but also towards other people, to which you may be like, well, yes, my agent is mean, but she's a fighter. Well, she may be the reason you're not getting your offer accepted. No one wants to work with her. But in general, when looking for an agent, keep in mind that it's okay to interview several agents before you decide to work with one, because remember, there is no return policy when buying a house, but there are good agents out there that can help you or prevent you from wishing you could return your house. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in Los Angeles. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And for a consultation, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like or subscribe. But either way, thanks a bunch for watching and have an awesome day.